Hi everybody. So yet another video from me. Hope you're not sick of my face yet. This week we're going to talk about color and color theory and the ways in which graphic designers can communicate color to printers, customers, clients, and so on. So if you look around me, there's a lot of red. You could call the color of this couch red. You could call the color of my shirt red. You could call the color of my hair red. And they're all red, but they're all different shades of red, and they're all given different names. So if a client says, I want the logo to be red, you need to actually tell what type of red that the client wants. And that's a lot of work for a designer, because not only does your computer monitor and different printers display the same color differently, but everybody around you is perceiving color slightly differently. On top of that, everything that you're taught about color theory in elementary school is wrong. And in most of your art classes is also wrong, scientifically speaking. So it gets very, very complicated. So I'm going to spend a couple weeks talking about this. And I know when I've done this exercise in class, a lot of students get confused. So I'm going to walk you through what it is you're looking for this week. And we're going to take things gradually. Remember, you can always ask me questions if you're confused. So starting off, what you're going to be doing this week is you're going to be creating a color scheme in the grade 11 class. And in the grade 12 class, you're doing that plus some very, very basic Photoshop or free Photoshop alternative color alteration. So I'm going to start with some screen sharing, and I'll show you some really basic ways to pick colors. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to pick your favorite color. You know, you guys are probably 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, and nobody asks you what your favorite color is anymore. They're going to ask you what's your favorite color. And rather than saying blue or purple or red, you're going to find out what the exact name of that color is. Now, there's a couple different ways to do it. So you can either do it online or you can do it in the software, and I'll show you where both of those options are located. She's got opinions. All right, so let's go into Photoshop first. So here's Photoshop, and easiest way to figure out colors in Photoshop is if you can see the little corner of my screen, there's a foreground and background color. You're just going to click the foreground color and you will see a color picker. Now this is the same if you go into GIMP or Photopea or any of the Photoshop clones that are out there. And you can see the color that I picked in this assignment and a whole bunch of different values for it. So this is a dark red, similar to color that I'm wearing. I didn't do that on purpose. And the ones to pay attention to are down here, you'll see RGB. And those are the primary colors if you're working on a computer monitor or a projector or a TV or anything like that. So that is the amount of red, green, and blue that's in your color. So that's one way that you can describe the color. So in this case, it'd be R138, G7B0. That's one way. You'll see right next to it, CMYK values. And this is a slightly more accurate way to describe what the color is. So this is telling you how much cyan, magenta, yellow, and black is in the color. And again, there's percentage values next to it. Third way to do this is you'll see there is a hashtag or number sign and then a 6-digit code. That's a hexadecimal code. It's used primarily in web design. And that's going to give you a slightly less accurate way to describe the color that's nevertheless very, very easy to find. And then the last way is if I click color libraries, you'll see Pantone colors. And this is the way professional designers will do it. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of a discrepancy between what I've picked and the Pantone color it's trying to match it to. So if you work in something like fashion or interior design or for a very large graphic design firm, you'll get Pantone swatches, which look like little paint swatches, and you use that to get the exact color that it'll come out when you print something. So in this case, This one is actually, I think, a little bit closer, and it'll give you really an exact color that says Pantone 438C, and that's going to print out exactly the way you see it. So that's why professional designers will tend to still use Pantone colors rather than the other values that I showed you. So anyway, like that, you're going to get your exact color. So your first step is you're going to find out at least one of those values or names for the color that you've chosen. So then your next stage is you're going to take the Google Doc that I've given you, you're going to put in your swatch, you're going to put in the name of the color. Now you're going to go to an online color wheel, and I've linked to 2 of them, and you're going to find a color scheme that works well with your color. And there's many, many different color schemes, and I'm going to show you a few in just a second. So we'll share screen again. All right, so there's the assignment, and let's look at a color wheel. So there are many online color wheels. There are no shortage of them. We're going to look at Adobe's because I think it's pretty good. So let's say that this is my first color, this red. And if I scroll down, I can see I want a slightly darker red than I had before. And you'll see that it's got RGB as an option. So if I'd picked a color that I'd defined using RGB, I could just type in the values right there. Not going to do it right now because I'm lazy. Or I could go to CMYK and I could do the same thing and get the exact color that I chose. So now you'll see that it's got color harmony rules. And these are basically used to find colors that work well together. So there are many. Analogous means that if you look at a color wheel, the colors are next to each other on the color wheel. So those tend to look good because they're beside each other. If we click down the menu, we can say monochromatic. So that is colors that are basically the same color, but the value or the saturation is different. So they're the same color, but they're lighter or darker, or they're the same color, but they're more or less intense. Triadic will split the color wheel into 3. So it's going to look for colors that are a third of the way away from each other. And that also tends to look pretty good. Complementary, so it's looking for colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel. And that can look good, or it can look like a lot of holidays tend to use complementary color schemes. So like Christmas will be red and green. So it can look a little bit cheesy. Split complementary looks a little bit better. So instead of doing opposite, it looks for colors that are kind of a third of the way from opposite. And you'll notice this is one that gets used a lot in movie posters. So the orange and teal is a good example of that. And then you can get some more complicated ones. So in this case, I like the split complementary one, actually, because it reminds me a bit of movie posters. So it's giving me like a little mini color scheme up here. And if I scroll down, I can click on each one of these colors and I can get the values for that. So I'm going to go back to my Google document and I'm going to again put down color swatches, the color names, and which type of color scheme that I'm using. So I would put in the different values. If I wanted to be really lazy for this, I would probably just copy and paste the hexadecimal code because it'll be fine for this assignment. And I would say that I'm using a split complementary color scheme. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is if I'm in grade 11, I'm just going to say, was I able to access everything that I needed to for this assignment, or do I still need more help? In grade 12, what I want you to do is actually take this color scheme and use it on a photo. So you're going to take a photo or download a photo that you like, and you're going to bring it into Photoshop, or if you couldn't use Photoshop, then Photopea or GIMP are fine. They're all going to do exactly the same thing. And you're going to do a little bit of color adjustment. Okay, so here's my lovely photo of the bok choy that I'm sprouting. that I took for last week's assignment. And I'm gonna just crop it because it's got something annoying. All right, so we're gonna crop it, make it all, you know, look like it goes with the rule of thirds. Okay, so here's my original. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to convert it to black and white. So I'm gonna go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I'm gonna just take my saturation. So this is how vibrant it is. I'm gonna put it to 0 or to -100, and I'm gonna hit OK. This looks kind of bad. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just increase the brightness and contrast. So I'm gonna brighten it up a little bit. I'm gonna increase the contrast, and that's gonna give me some nice highlights and shadows. You don't need to do that, but if your photo's kind of meh, you know, you might as well. Okay, then I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to take the color that I've picked as my primary color, and here it is, because I've already picked it. I'm going to hit OK, take my paint bucket tool, and I'm going to dump a new layer over that. And then you'll see that my blending mode right now is normal, so you can't see what's underneath it. I'm going to change it from normal to overlay. And now my photo has picked up that color that I wanted to pick up. And then you're going to go File, Save As, and you're going to watch the swirl of death. And you're going to select JPEG and save it as a JPEG and hand that in. So that's just if you're in grade 12. If you're in grade 11, you can just totally ignore the part that I just showed you. And just tell me whether you were able to access all the stuff. All right, so that's this week's assignment. Next week's assignment, you're gonna take that, you're gonna push it a little further into some more serious photo editing. All right, hope that made sense. Good luck. You can always reach me if you have any questions at all. I am here to help all week. Take care.